the over 8,000 movies produced by Universal Pictures. Is your favorite movie on the line? Mine is. It's The Fast and the Furious. No, I will not apologize for that. It'll be on your left-hand side. You can even see how the logo has changed throughout the years as we descend down the hill. Here we are, 106 years later, after the initial opening, with his original plan of bringing guests onto the lot to see how movies get made. Hey guys! By the way, the men and the women that work there over at Fire Station 51 are the heroes that keep us safe every day. Not actors, but our actual emergency service team. There is a bit of a Hollywood story behind that, though. Not the men we just saw pass out there, but the name, Fire Station 51. See, back in the 70s, there was a TV show that filmed on the lot called Okay, welcome to Romania. London. I think you get the point. Not as our metro sets there any major metropolitan city in the world we want it to be, like Brownstone Street. This is Los Angeles and Changeling, starring Angelina Jolie. Chicago and the Sting, starring Robert Redford and Paul Newman. New York in Gone Girl with Ben Affleck, and Baltimore in Bruce Almighty, starring Jim Carrey and Jennifer Aniston.
Inside bad, outside good. Inside bad, outside good. Oh, you're done now. Great. B-E-A-U.
Beautiful indeed, but how do we tell the audience that that one location is all those places? Typically, the actor just says, hey, we're in this city, and you believe them. In fact, as we turn the corner out of Brownstone Street, we turn into Courthouse Square, an area that you guys probably recognize a little bit better as Hill Valley, California. For the Back to the Future franchise, starring Michael J. Fox and Christopher Lloyd. But this area has been here for decades. Seen in the very first episode of The Twilight Zone. You see it here in To Kill a Mockingbird. It was the snowy town of Kingston Falls in Gremlins. People are always like, why? Can't we just find a real town hall somewhere in the real world? Well, yes, you can. But one of the benefits of filming in a studio on the lot is you can make changes. For instance, on your screen you got that pond in front of the courthouse. How did they do that back in 1988, 87 when they were filming the second film? Well, what wasn't CGI. They just dug up the middle of the town hall and put a cement base in it. Filled it with water, boom! Instant pond. And made such a way that if they ever needed again, they could really just pull the plats off the top of it and they could refill it with water. Something that they're not going to let you do in a real big city. In a real city, big or small, honestly. But we are going to leave the small city behind and turn onto the streets of the Big Apple. Welcome everybody to New York.
Everyone, welcome to New York. I got my start right here in New York on Saturday Night Live. This is actually my old neighborhood. What's got mugged over there? An old woman. Tough lady. This is my favorite hot dog guy.
Monsters and creatures from, prehistoric times. So I was thrilled when Universal invited me back to Skull Island, and it's great to have you along for the ride. Now, we have created this 3D immersive experience.
It's the same as the actors who are driving them. But look out, because it's here I'm going to start pointing out what's fake and, well, why. Like that iconic Ferrari 308 from Magnum PI. It's actually a Volkswagen engine and a fiberglass Ferrari shell, because Ferrari parts are really expensive to maintain and repair. The vehicles from the Flintstones are obviously not made out of stone or wood, but they are just modified golf carts that drive around. The gyrosphere, featured in Jurassic World 1 and 2 in the movies, was encased in a glass sphere. But there's no glass out here because the glass only existed in the movies. It was added in post-production, because they didn't want to worry about the reflections and lighting and finding a safe way to put your actors in glass. And even the tank in the very end, that was made out of wood, a lightweight material that makes it easier to move around the set from location to location. Also easier to perform stunts with. But we keep ourselves moving to the next stop on our world tour. Welcome
To Jurassic Park.
That's right, we're on either side of the tram. We're looking at props and picture cars for the first 3 films. A prop being anything an actor touches, holds, sits on, uses, or moves. It can be as small as a paper clip or as large as these empty dinosaur cages. But don't worry about the empty cages. Instead, look at the picture car on your left, the mobile lab unit. Like the tank, it's primarily made out of wood, so it can perform this stunt. just want to point out the trees, especially the final ones here, made out of foam. Because while Jurassic Park has done a lot of on-location filming, where the jungles of Hawaii have substituted as the jungles of the movies, for the scenes where they needed to control the animatronic dinosaurs, they filmed those scenes right here inside sound stages. And to recreate the prehistoric jungle, they created using foam trees. But that's why you use the studio, so you can create and control as many elements of filmmaking as possible, whether that's the sound, the lighting, the sets, or the weather. And as we enter an area known as Old Mexico, featuring the Three Amigos starring Chevy Chase, Martin Short, and Steve Martin, I'm going to show you how on a beautiful sunshiny day like today, well, you make it rain. Now you already hear the thunder, a pre-recorded sound being blasted through speakers. You might see the lightning bouncing off the buildings, a high-intensity strobe light effect. It's a little bright to see it right now. So this is how we make it rain, using a super high-tech system known as a sprinkler system. Yeah, sprinklers. On the rooftops and poles of the trees. It shoots the water straight into the air and allows it to fall back to earth naturally, just like real rain would. But you're in a studio, so why stop at a simple rainstorm when you create your very own natural disaster? So that's what we're going to do by releasing thousands of gallons of water from the top of the hill and letting gravity take over. We should be fine, right?
Water is coming.
Yeah, we'll be fine. Maybe not. And the real trick is, the water now goes under the bridge, is recycled back up to the top in less than a minute, and this same rainstorm can be repeated again and again and again quite quickly. That means that when a director is using these elements, they don't have to worry about the environment changing in between takes. They can focus their attention on the actor and getting the best performance possible. And as we drive through the dry portion of Old Mexico, featured in Nacho Libre starring Jack Black, you can see one of those elements in use in Big Fat Liar, starring Paul Giamatti, Amanda Bynes, and Frankie Muniz.
You can't outrun the wolf, kid!
Yeah, we'll see about that.
Out of Old Mexico, we head to the Old West, well, now to Six Points, Texas, one of the oldest filming locations on the Universal lot. In fact, in the very first years of movie studio, over 200 westerns shot in this general area. How? Well, it was 1915, and movies were like 30 minutes long, not 3 hours. So it really was just easier to do a lot of movies in a smaller amount of time. But also, Six Points got its name because it used to be 6 streets that all came together like the spokes of a wheel. Each street had its own saloon, its own sheriff station, its own hotel, and because it was a silent film era, they could shoot 6 movies all at the same time. Didn't matter how much noise was being made, as it didn't actually disrupt the production from one production to the other. Once it moved to talkies, productions needed to be moved further away from each other, but these sets still get used, like in Just the Simpsons, they use boots are made for walking music video. You saw it as Australia in Saving Mr. Banks, starring Emma Thompson, Colin Farrell, Tom Hanks, and most recently, you saw it Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, starring Brad Pitt, Leonardo DiCaprio.
Mine hit the ground first. Mine was taller.
And what looks like brick or stone or cement are actually much lighter weight materials like plaster, plywood, foam, rubber, so we can change the faces depending on what the production calls for, which makes this really wavy brick wall make a lot more sense as we pass by. Now we're about halfway through the tour right now, and a reminder, if you need to grab my attention because of an emergency, just reach out for the movies and from inside the theme park. When you're filming with vehicles, you often have 3 versions of the same car. Like Dom's Charger there, there's like 6 to 7 versions of that actually. Because one is your hero car, the one you capture driving around doing stunts. Then one is for the dialogue scenes where you're filming on the inside. And your last version is your just-in-case car, your I'm gonna blow it up car. And yeah, the Fast and Furious franchise, they blow up hundreds of cars, so they've got hundreds of backups. But we now find ourselves in front of the Bates Motel with the Psycho House on the hill behind it. The motel is a shell, as is the house. The shell has 4 walls, a roof, but nothing on the inside. There is no filmmaking that can take place on the inside. While the motel has been torn apart and rebuilt multiple times, the house, while refurbished, is almost the same. Built 3/4 the size of a real house, a technique known as forced perspective, meaning the smaller something is, the further away it appears. But looking up at the house from the bottom of the hill, it looks like it's off in the distance, and yet still somehow looming over you, adding to the suspense. Hey, who's that in the second floor window? Must be my imagination. It's around the corner from the Psycho House that we get our next spectacular set piece, the crash site from Steven Spielberg's War of the Worlds, starring Tom Cruise and Dakota Fanning, where the plane is real, a 747 that was decommissioned, torn up in the Mojave Desert, and then brought here piece by piece on flatbed trucks. Here's production designer Rick Carter and director Steven Spielberg talking a little bit more about how this whole set came to life.
The airplane crash site set is a perfect example of a set that is all designed around the vision that Steven had.
When we first began to sit down to talk about the War of the World, I thought, what if the 747 goes down right in a big neighborhood? Because it's just something you don't see.
You're doing good. You're doing good. Keep your eyes on me. That's right. Now listen, I want you to close your eyes, okay? Okay, I'm closed. Robbie, get in.
There we go. Fans of America's Next Top Model may recognize this area from photo shoots they've done out here. One of my favorite competition shows, Face Off, brought contestants out here so they can be inspired to do makeups for this show. And tons of insurance commercials have used the wreckage of these houses and cars to convince you need their insurance. And that kind of just makes sense. I'm not even mad at them for that. Now, about 10 minutes away from the end of the tour, but even 10 minutes from the end, if you need to grab my attention because of an emergency, just reach up, pull the red cord, and remain seated until I'm there to assist. On your right, we're looking at parts of Falls Lake, specifically where the backdrop is and the pit in front of it. That pit is filled with water and can create a vast ocean, or a big river, or sometimes filled with sand to create a desert. It's a blue screen right now, sometimes it's a green screen. When it's painted, some of the top artists in Hollywood hand paint that backdrop, which is the world's largest
This might be more serious than I thought.
What
just happened? This is a secure line.
I was mid-story. Who is this?
I'll tell you who I am, boy. I'm the reason bad guys use a nightlight. I'm the reason the boogeyman begs his mama to look under his bed. And I'm the reason you just lost control of this whole operation.
I'm okay with that.
My name is Special Agent Luke Hobbs of the U.S. Diplomatic Security Service.
Hi.
And as of 16.9 seconds ago, I'm the man in charge.
The hell you are.
Let me clue you in on two things, sweet cheeks.
Who, me?
One, there's a high-value witness from the Federal Protection Program aboard your vehicle. And two, an international crime syndicate led by Owen Shaw is honing in on this vehicle to take that witness out.
Some police diver out there. Let me get his attention. Hey, George! George, buddy! Yeah, there's another shark out there. You might want to swim back to the boat, okay? George, oh, man. He's got a lot of guts being out there like that. Oh, and there they are. Oh, no! Okay. We ask that you remain seated, because we're going to come up next to the docks for our safety. What is all this gasoline doing here? That's fine. We've actually got some bait for the shark at the end of the pier. As long as the shark takes the bait, he should leave us alone. Oh, no. He knocks the pier. Oh, my goodness. They better have eyes on the shark. I can't see him. Let's look where we first saw him. Maybe he's back there. Bruce the shark, everybody. The only shark in the world that can do the backstroke. Actually, it's going back to one. An industry term. Means back to the beginning of the shot, so you take it again. And our shark does that pretty well for us, day in, day out, tram in, tram out. That was not the case for director Steven Spielberg, who he tested his mechanical sharks before filming Jaws. He did. He tested them in fresh water. So when he went to film Jaws in the Atlantic Ocean, on the very first day of filming, his mechanical shark sank to the bottom of the ocean. Here he is talking about working with their mechanical menace.
Asking much from a lion shark. The shark was frustrating. It didn't really work all the time. It didn't work hardly at all.
Wherever you were on the island, you could hear the radio waves. They were always saying, the shark is not working. Repeat, the shark is not working.
We just waited around. We just waited and waited and waited. The shark worked well enough
for a while there, it had the biggest hit of all time. So I really owe the shark a lot.
And all the delays were probably a blessing in disguise, considering Jaws was originally supposed to be released in the Christmas of '74. Yeah, that heartwarming film about the killer great white shark. No! Instead it released